It is driller season on Flow Racing as we count down to the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. Last year, Blake Anderson and I, we had this series called Flow Racing Rewind that we went back and watched, you know, races of the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals with past winners. Well, we got a good one for you this week. It's Tony Stewart. Smoke, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm busy in our shop in Brownsburg, but yeah, like you said, it's getting close to Chili Bowl time, and we all start getting excited thinking about it.
Last year with the Chili Bowl, obviously, was very unique because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was the first time in quite a while, Tony, that you did not make the Chili Bowl. Back again this year. Are you excited to get back to Tulsa and really take in the Chili Bowl and hopefully a more normal Chili Bowl this year?
Yeah, it was hard last year. I mean, I had some sprint car racing that was coming up right after Chili Bowl that I was booked to go run, and you know, it was super hard. I mean, obviously not knowing health wise, I had been sick before Chili Bowl, so I didn't go because I was already sick, and then obviously I'm one of the guys that's down in the center of the infield for 6 straight days, breathing in the fumes and the dust down there. So it's almost a guarantee. It's about an 80% shot that I'm going to get sick after Chili Bowl, just from being inside for 6 straight days of it. But knowing I had to race the following weekend, I didn't. A, I just didn't feel good leading up to Chili Bowl, and B, wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to fulfill my obligations the week after.
So you will be back this year. You don't have too much going on with the NHRA team. You're gonna come back to Tulsa.
You mean with NHRA teams and sprint car teams and everything we got going on? No, I just don't have enough projects going on. But my plan right now, as we speak, are to be there. So hopefully we'll be in good shape by the time it's time to go.
Hopefully, don't give him too much to babysit between now and then. We try. Should we get
You
the race
are
rolling?
a two. Yeah, let's get the race rolling. I was gonna say you are a two-time champion of the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. Now we had queued up the '07 race, but you said the '02 race is much better. You won with Keith in '02. You won for your own your own car in '07. What made this race better?
Well, you're going to see why it's way better. I think of the two races that I won in Tulsa, the O2 race here is way, way, way more exciting, way more action. And literally, this was one that if you didn't know who won the race, with 2 laps to go, you still wouldn't know who won the race. So this is one that by far I felt like was a much better race than the '07 race.
2002, when you look at the broad scope of your racing career, one of the most accomplished race car drivers ever, was 2002 one of the biggest years of your entire career? You obviously kicked it off with the Chili Bowl and then ended 2002 with the NASCAR Cup Championship.
Yeah, I don't think when we went to Tulsa at the beginning of the season that 2002 was going to end up as big as it did. But, obviously to start off the year with the biggest midget race of the year and then to finish the season out at the end of the year with, with a NASCAR championship, I don't know how you ask for any better. I mean, the only way to answer that is ask somebody like Carl Larson, who's doing it in this era now. So, but this was an event that really set the tone for the season for us.
Now you see what 300 cars, maybe close to 400 this year. How many cars were there back then?
I honestly don't even remember. It wasn't near 300 cars for sure. So, there wasn't the car count, but I think what was still important back then is there may not have been the physical car count, but there was still the same amount of high level talent that was running the race. It just there weren't as many guys that don't run, and there weren't renter rides back then. I mean, if you drove at the Chili Bowl, it's because you earned a car and earned a right to race there. So it's there's a lot of guys that run nowadays at Chili Bowl that don't run a midget but once a year. That really wasn't the case back in the early 2000s. I mean, guys that were racing were guys that were full time midget drivers or full time sprint car drivers that came to run the Chili Bowl then.
Life's coming full circle there, Smoke. They just showed the flagman, and it's Roger Slack, our promoter over at Eldora.
Yeah, he doesn't move as fast as he used to back then, so that's why he had to finally quit flagging so he could get an office job at Eldora. I'm just kidding because Roger will see this and I will get death threats from him. So now Roger was awesome, and that was one of the cool things about Chili Bowl when I went, is that you didn't have a flagman sitting in a flag stand. You had a flagman that was on foot on the inside of the track, and I felt like Roger really added to the show back then.
Yeah, look at that crowd. So you'll start on the outside of row 2 here, fourth, in the 67, bullet by Keith Coons Motorsports. As you're anticipating the restart here, the initial start, you just kind of feeling out the track, thinking about the lines, where you want to go here.
Yeah, I hadn't ran Chili Bowl a lot, I guess, but to finally have a ride with Keith Coons there. I mean, I'd ran with Keith, started clear back, I guess, in '94 with Keith, maybe in '93 even a little bit, but to sit there and have that caliber of ride for the Chili Bowl, uh, I think it was the first time that I was finally in a position where felt like I was good enough at that time, and was with the right team to win the Chili Bowl. I mean, I had good rides before that and cars and teams that were capable of winning, but not sure that that race that I was capable of winning up to that point.
How tough was it to get in a midget back then? You didn't do a bunch of midget racing back then, but to get in a midget once a year and be super competitive, how hard was that to go against these guys that do it 40, 50 nights a year?
Well, I think then I was still racing, the guys that we were racing against were the same guys that I had raced with a lot before I got going in NASCAR and IndyCar, and then couldn't race as much, but it was the same basic cast of characters and drivers. Some of them had got better since I had driven, but the caliber guys were good for sure.
I already got one
Already,
upside down here, Tyler.
yeah, a big old flip here and one. I guess we're going to see the replay
That's a
here.
surprise to see a Chili Bowl and somebody gets upside down. That never happens.
No.
That berm is treacherous. Oh, it looks like it was on the entrance of one there. Clip the car. So you're third. You started fourth. You got one spot there. It looked like, to me, the track was wider than it ever had been at the start of an A main there.
Yeah, because I don't think at that time, I don't even remember how many laps the main was, but I mean, back then there wasn't quite the extent of track prep before the A main that you see us end up doing now. So, uh, it started out a lot wider than it normally does.
I know you enjoyed doing the track prep. Is there any point where you kind of miss being out there and actually being in a midget and racing at the Chili Bowl?
I do, and wow, that one was big.
That was big.
But yeah, I do, honestly, to answer your question. I do miss it, but at the same time, people are like, why do you like staying till 4:30 in the morning working on the track and having to be there at 3:30 to get ready for hot laps to start at 4, and have the full day on Monday and the full day on Saturday? Well, why do I do that versus going and driving? And honestly, I mean, if you're racing that week, you got 2 nights out of those 6 that you have to be on. For me, doing the track prep, I have to be on for 6 straight days from the time the first car hits the track till the A main's over. And there's a very small group of us, 3 to 4 guys that do the work there. And for us to be able to be in sync all night, and it's basically like being Peyton Manning at a football game. I mean, we're calling audibles all night long off of what the track's doing. And the pressure of knowing the competitors deserve it and demand it, the fans are used to great racing. For us to have that pressure all night, every night for 6 nights, that's why I enjoy doing the track prep so much, because I take a lot of pride in the work we do as a group. And, to be able to do it from a driver's perspective and know what the drivers are looking for, and to try to figure out how we can create multiple grooves for these guys to race on all day and all night, and especially the qualifying days. I mean, you want the heat races to be good to where the drivers can pass. So, you're not seeing a lot of movement at the beginning of the main here, but that's because the track's fresh, and you have to have the track end up being multi grooves by the end of the night, and have guys moving around and searching for where their car's going to work best.
One thing that kind of
Right
has
there is one
continued.
guy. One guy that
What's
right
that?
there is Corey Kruzman in that 47 car, and that is somebody that was probably, I believe, the strongest car in this A main. And I don't remember where he started, but I don't think he started in the top 10 necessarily, but he, I felt like, was the fastest car in the group driving Andy Bondio's car.
He's really one of the
Those
few
cars have
cars that's
always
kind of looking to work off the high side there, or higher side.
Yeah, and that corner right there in 1 and 2 where, he passed one car and he got the second car because the second one got bent out of shape. That's the kind of brakes you need to get through traffic to get to the front to have a shot to win these A mains. You need brakes like that here and there. You can be the best car, but you're going to have a little luck go your way. And to be able to pass one car is great, but to be able to sit there and you know get a 2-for-1 deal like that on one corner, that helps that charge to the front.
those 47 cars, they used to run like bicycle tires on the left front. Did that like help them hook around that berm? I mean, because there's like a massive berm down there at the bottom of the track.
It didn't. I mean, Andy Bondio was a brilliant, brilliant chassis guy, but he liked to mess with people too. And I know they ran that motorcycle wheel on the left front, and it was more of a weight deal than anything. But performance-wise, did it really help anything? It really didn't. It definitely didn't help the performance of the car. But he just liked to do it to mess with people to make them complain and gripe about it, and at the same time try to figure out why he was doing it.
Tracy's kind of out here cruising right now, it looks like, in that 11 car, the Wilkie car.
Yeah, I mean, starting
Assuming
off the
that's
front,
the
I mean, he
Wilkie
had a
car.
really good week getting there, and he was super fast at the beginning of this race.
At this point, I
You see
guess
how
you're
quick
just
and the track got really wide really fast. I mean, we're probably 12 laps into the race right now, and the track's got super wide already.
There's Bondio on your back, or the Bondio midget Cruiseman on your back bumper right there.
Critter Malone, I think, on the outside of us. Critter was one of those guys that he ran the USAC deal a lot and didn't have a ton of luck, but man, there was something about the Chili Bowl that was really a niche for him, and something where he was really fast. This is probably one of the biggest moments in the race right here where Tracy has a problem.
do you know what
He
happened?
was checked out.
I think what it was the fuel pump on the backside of the firewall. The bolts had come loose on it, and it came out and was backing out, and then it would index and it would back out, and so he lost fuel pressure.
Can't believe that hadn't gone
I can't
yellow
believe they
yet.
didn't throw a caution. I know, what the heck?
Yeah, they don't do that now. Now they're much quicker on that, because it easily could have cost somebody a problem in a crash.
Yeah, because the last lap before then, he had this 12. He had Kevin Doty was all over his back bumper, lifting hard.
Yeah, and that was, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the team car to Tracy that year. Was the 12 car
Okay,
that Doty's in.
that makes sense. I mean, Kevin, he won a lot of races up at Angel Park.
I think Critter ran that midget right there that he's running in this race this year with USAC.
Yeah,
He might have.
I don't know how old that car is, but he's ran that car forever, and that's one of the things I love about Critter Malone. I've always liked him. He's probably one of the coolest guys you can hang around with, but he makes the most out of what he has for sure.
I hate, but I feel like it's almost forgotten now just how tough Kevin Doty was in a midget and how good he really was.
When I got going in late 93 and all of 94, 95, Kevin Doty was probably one of the hottest midget drivers in the country. And the thing I liked and respected most about Kevin is he would race you super hard, but he raced you super clean too and respectful. I mean, he just raced with respect. But he didn't give you an inch, but he didn't take more than what was respectful. And I was married to the bottom in that 67 car. This was, I had got where I could run the top pretty good in in 94 and 95. For some reason, when we would run Chili Bowl, I don't know why, I just got to where I could really work around the bottom pretty well, and It seems like as the night would go on and the bottom would give up, I could still get stuck and still maneuver around the bottom. I felt like better than a lot of the guys I was racing with. But like I said, here's Critter giving Kevin all he can take right there. And I mean, this was not something you saw a lot of. I mean, I think people underestimated how good Critter was, and this shows how good Critter was when he would get to Chili Bowl to be able to put the pressure on somebody like a Wilkie car with Kevin Doty in it, and to do that, Critter did that all on his own with his own car, his own team. To be able to put this kind of pressure and have a performance like this at Chili Bowl was a big deal.
Did you feel like the top was just like a long way around? Is that why you didn't? I mean, you could see Doty, he's running like kind of like a middle line, like not even all the way at the top. It's almost like the top was too far around.
I I don't know. I always felt like I could get stuck on the bottom, and Keith was able to get me stuck to where I felt comfortable and felt like as the race was going to go on, I felt we kind of had set up for it. Um, I just remember that Keith and I had looked at the racetrack before and felt like that the top would go away and that the bottom would hang on, and we just set up for the bottom. So I just married to it and committed to stay in there no matter what. And we got by Critter right there, and then we're running Kevin down now, and it's like this is exactly kind of what our game plan was and what we thought the racetrack would do and what it would take.
I know how much pride you take in being from Columbus, Indiana. So does it make it a little bit more special that you won your first Chili Bowl for a guy that's also from Columbus and has everything based out of Columbus?
Well, he is now. When I drove for him back then, he wasn't in Columbus yet. So,
Oh, really?
well, I think he might have been. He just didn't start in Columbus. But when him and Pete
Okay.
Willoughby joined up, they did move. I think actually when we won this race, they were in Columbus together. But when I drove for Keith initially, him and Rusty Coons were out of Illinois, and but it does now to know that you know one of the hottest midget teams in the last 15, 20 years is based out of Indiana as well, in the same hometown that I was born and raised in and still have a ranch in now. There is a lot of pride in that. I mean, there's some good race people in not only Indiana, but in southern Indiana as well. I think we woke Doty up right there because we get a run on him, we get by, and then all of a sudden Kevin finds a gear and really gets going there for 3 or 4 laps, and then we got him searching right now. I mean, he ran a lane off the bottom there. He's trying to run through the middle right there, and then it looks like we get a caution.
Was there some tire saving?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't remember having tire problems there, but the complexion of the race kept changing, and I've watched this video over and over in years and shown it to friends. But as we'll see through the remainder of this race, even when we're talking about other things, if you watch Kevin is constantly searching, trying to find what he feels like is the best line through the entire race there. And like I said, I was married to the bottom. I wasn't getting off of it. Uh, I think Corey got to where he gets married to the bottom as well, and it really was the three of us kind of separated ourselves from everybody else. Critter was really good at the beginning, but it seemed like the longer the race went, the freer he got and the more he backed up. But the three of us there really, take charge of this race from this point on, and it's a 3-horse race, so to speak, at this point.
Do you remember how you're
12
feeling
laps
right
to
now running in second as the laps wind down and you know that you've got Kevin Doty maybe not quite comfortable as he's trying to find a line and you're feeling really good running the bottom?
Yeah, nervous as hell, no doubt. It's like I said, I was married to the bottom, and on the restart he goes back to the top and gives me the bottom, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I was hoping for. And now you see Corey getting by, and we're all sitting there going, yeah, we're feeling good about this right now. Solidly got the lead here, and Doty's back to third, and but I know I got pressure from Corey behind me, and I don't even know who it is. I just know that I can hear that there's somebody right with me right there. So I think that was the 10 to go signal right there. So, you know, sitting there feeling like I just got to hit my marks, keep doing what I'm doing. Um, don't miss the bottom. Don't give up don't slide up to where it gives somebody an opportunity to get by. And that may actually be what cost me a little bit of time here. I mean, I lost a little bit of time in the center there, but got a good drive off. And then Doty's Doty's able to sit there and search around, and I'm making mistakes here and there, and Doty gets back by already.
He was ripping the top, man.
But like I said, you keep watching. I mean, he keeps picking different spots. He keeps trying the middle. He keeps trying all the way up on the top. Um, he never quit searching. But that middle for him was pretty good, honestly. I mean, I don't think it was as good in 1 and 2 as it was 3 and 4. But he was able to make time in spots that other guys couldn't.
Laps winding down. When he got back by you, do you almost feel like, man, it slipped through my fingers, or is it just get back in the saddle like you did right here and kind of re-lock down?
No, because the thing that we kept having to do, that Corey and I, and you'll watch here, is we kept hooking the left front up over the berm, and a lot of times when I would get the left front over the berm, I was catching the frame rail. So I would either catch the frame rail and it would mess me up, or I'd get the front tire on top of it and I'd get tight. And then Kevin tries to protect there and we get back by him. So it was more me racing against myself, so to speak. I mean, I wasn't going to change lines, but what I had to do that I hadn't done was run clean laps. And Corey gets a run there. I left the door open just a little bit on entry, and you're having to run hard to try to get back by Kevin. And here's the white flag, and nobody knows who's going to win this race yet.
Oh my, this is wonderful.
Man.
Wow. Does that give you goosebumps
feeling.
a little bit? Like to see yourself celebrate like that and relive it?
Well, yeah, because it's, biggest dirt race of the year, and to have a race that was that epic with Corey Kruseman and Kevin Doty, and there's Danny Lasosky, who was driving for me in the World of Outlaws at the time, and to know that was the biggest race of the year. That was probably my biggest open wheel win. Individual win at the time was winning the first Chili Bowl there. So to win that race and to have that kind of battle where literally at the end it was about who made the least amount of mistakes. It just showed what kind of pressure was on the line. I mean, Corey raced me with a lot of respect too. I mean, there were a lot of times that he got under there that he could have pushed the envelope and pushed the issue and leaned on me a little bit and didn't, because it could have taken us both out, obviously. But Corey's a respectful racer. But to sit there and run the races we had ran and move up in IndyCar and NASCAR, and then to win that's a bigger celebration than you'd seen me have in IndyCar or NASCAR up to that point. And I think I even say it in the interview that this was bigger than anything I'd done in IndyCar and NASCAR. It was just an unbelievable feeling.
Well, let's turn it up and let's listen to the interview.
Look at the grin on Keith Kuhn's face, and they're wiping the tears away. What a ride. There's Pete Willoughby, a longtime friend and crew member, former car owner, Pete's wife right there. Yeah. What a moment for Tony Stewart.
A lot of happy people, and well-deserved. That whole crew, they work well together. Tony drives hard, but you got to give that Pete Willoughby
Diesel
and Keith
Taylor
Kuhn
there on the
credit.
left. That was
AJ
Voigt's tire guy.
Oh, really?
From the here at the Chili Bowl. What
That's
was
cool.
Tony Stewart's first thought when he got out of the car? Let's have a listen.
This is awesome. I mean, I like when he wins the Cup races, and I hope Joe Gibbs doesn't take his personal, but this kicks ass.
Yeah, that's pretty descriptive right there. What a race. What a win for Tony Stewart. I think the emotion just now really beginning to occur to him. There you see the second 5 tonight. And one man who is disappointed with this finish is Kevin Doty. Let's hear
That was
from him.
awesome. That was
Second place finisher Kevin Doty. You also won on opening night. Kevin, you've been coming here many years, and you've come close, and it's got to be a little tough right now to finish second.
Yeah, it's real tough. I really thought we had a good shot at it, and we did have a good shot at it. There was a restart there where Tony got by me, and then I was working the middle, he was working the bottom, and I got back by him, so I figured, that I was running the right spot on the racetrack, and they had another yellow with, I don't know, maybe 10 laps to go, something like that, and the middle where I was running just started going away, and then Tony and me were running kind of side by side there, and I never really had an opportunity to go down to the bottom, and and block him or whatever it took. We ran second.
Still got to be great to have wheel-to-wheel racing with Kruzman and Stewart.
Oh yeah, that was the most fun I've had in a long time for sure. You race with guys like that. They're going to race you clean and race you hard, and I hope the fans had a good race. I sure had fun.
Second place finisher Kevin Doty.
Billy pouch over his left shoulder there from Big Block Modifieds.
I think that was Kevin Olson.
That's gotta
Yeah,
be
and that was the cool part of knowing Kevin as much as I did. I mean, like I said, we started racing together. I think the first time in '93, and to sit there and that's little Kevin on the left hand side of the screen there. You just barely see his head turn to the right.
I just saw him there. Sleeve.
It was so much fun to race Kevin Doty, and we were kind of rivals. It wasn't like we didn't like each other, but we knew when we showed up and we were both at the track, it made our lives a lot harder having to race against each other. But later, before we lost Kevin at Sun Prairie, Kevin and I would spend time together at the races, and I really respected Kevin Doty, and Corey Kruzman and I are still good friends. He drove for me at TSR, and we've had a great friendship since '94. So it's it really, looking back all these years later, it even makes it more special knowing that, even after 2002, the friendship I had with both Kevin Doty and Corey Kruzman, those relationships and friendships lasted a lot longer.
Keith and Pete behind you. I don't think they've aged at all.
No.
So here's some useless trivia for you. So it's funny because you saw us stop on the racetrack. They didn't have a victory lane stage on the inside of turn 4, and after the interview was over and things were kind of winding down, we'd done some more photos, and Keith's sitting there still wiping tears out of his eyes. Keith's a crier, man, but he's a crier in a good way. He's somebody that works hard and puts a ton of effort in. Him and Pete have been an awesome combination, an awesome team for years. When you see their cars at the racetrack, they got some of the best equipment out there and the best guys wrenching on it. So, there's Corey. He looks a little older than that now, but he looks exactly the same. He just looks a little older, but don't we all?
Don't we all? Well, we appreciate you coming on. And if you actually want to watch Smokes wins the 02 Chili Bowl, which is the one we just watched, in the 07 Chili Bowl, you can watch them on FloRacing.com right now. I know we were talking about Roger Slack, who was the flag guy in that. Slack says that he just throws the Chili Bowls on when he goes to sleep and just lets them roll throughout the night. Like he just goes through, he just watches Flow 24/7.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a strange bird at times, but there's one thing about Roger Slack. He eats, sleeps, and breathes motorsports, and it doesn't matter whether it's midgets, sprint cars, big block modifieds, you name it. He's a race fan at heart, and I can't think of a guy I'd rather have run and represent us at Eldora Speedway more than Roger.
He's fantastic.
Well, we look forward to having you out in Tulsa again. Blake, what do you got?
That was good. You were right, Smoke. That race was pretty darn good.
I mean, both of them, even in '07. I mean, I know the '07 situation was a scenario where we won the race with our own team, but and I was really proud of that because that's a car that we built and prepared at the shop. One that I had John Godfrey build me that had a lot of the same characteristics that we had clear back in '95 with the cars that we ran. So it was cool to win that one and win it in a TSR car. But, as you saw there, 02 with Kevin Doty and Corey Kruzman, Critter Malone, I mean, the race was a cool race to watch. Normally by the halfway point, you kind of have an idea, who the contender is and maybe two guys. And this was a race where there were three guys in contention the whole time. If I made a mistake, Corey was going by. And Kevin Doty, like he said, I mean, he kept searching, and then once we got underneath him, he never really had the opportunity to get down and try to hold us off that way. But it made for one hell of a finish, and that's moments that make the Chili Bowl what it is. I mean, it's one of the best dirt races of the entire season and the entire year, and it's not just the best midget racers; it's the best midget racers, the best sprint car racers, both wing, non-wing, and drivers from all disciplines. Guys like Tim McCready, Scott Bloomquist have ran it. I mean, guys from all disciplines of motorsports have ran at the Chili Bowl because it's so prestigious.